Ooh, welcome back to Amazin But True, our New York Mets podcast from the New York Post. The grand welcomes continue getting shorter as this team continues playing like total dog duty as the Mets once again lose a series to a pathetic team. It's Jake Brown here with my co-host, former Mets pitcher, who they might have to sign at some point if they need someone to go 5 or more innings. I mean, my God, can we get a pitcher? I mean, the 7th inning used to be an accomplishment. The 6th inning is usually an accomplishment. For the Mets, the 5th inning is an accomplishment. We'll react to that series. Luckily, we'll bring some positivity, Figgy, on this show as a guy who probably got the biggest ovation on Old Timers Day. You know, has a big belly, but in a good way. We love him. We love our big belly Hawaiian. Benny Agbayani.
Benny
will join us. Everyone loves Benny Agbayani. He was a cult hero of that ragtag bunch. In the first year, I was officially a Mets fan, full year, followed from day one. They went to the World Series, and I loved Benny Agbayani. So he'll join us in a bit. But unfortunately, we got to do a lot of negativity first. I went to the ballpark Friday and Saturday, saw two snooze fesses. I can't even speak. The Mets are drawing me to lose my voice. And Friday they win 1-0. Saturday was a completely lifeless effort, losing 5-2, and then Sunday was just embarrassing. I mean, we talk about the Sunday scaries with this team. They lose 13-6. You had to turn it off. It got so ugly. Figgy, this is frustrating. We said they had to win the series. You said show life. I made a proclamation. Be better. They weren't better. They were worse. When they again hit, don't pitch, pitch, don't hit, and they cannot put it all together. And God, this was frustrating.
Yeah, that's exactly what we saw from Verlander, right? The leader of the team. He had his outing where he only gives up the 2 back-to-back home runs. In the first inning, they wind up losing. And he said, we just haven't put it all together yet. We haven't been able to hit and score runs at the same time, or score runs and pitch well at the same time, or play defense, for a full 9 innings the way that they're capable of. Yes, and it's frustrating. But the good part is that you have to realize this isn't football. It isn't a 16-game season. The season isn't over as of yet. You're talking about early May still. And I get it. And nobody wants to win, more than Buck Showalter, the players. They are playing shorthanded. They are playing it is very lackluster, what we would consider lackluster. You're expecting 100% every single night, find a way to win that ball game and don't worry about tomorrow kind of thing. Whereas we've already seen it, right? This game Sunday was what happened was from the Detroit series where you had to pull Lucchesi after 46 pitches because he was going to have to pitch this game as well. I don't understand how this team could be that short-staffed. And I know injuries are a big part of it, but I mean, I was a AAA guy that could be used and called upon at any moment. Remember, I told you, after Lucchesi, there's really nothing down there that they feel that they can trust at the major league level. And that's a huge concern. That's a very huge concern. With Max Scherzer not pitching up to his capabilities yet, Verlander's got to get stretched out, slowly but surely, and they're not going to rush to, hey, we need you to save us and pitch 8 innings next time out. Senga's going to get as many off days as possible in between because they want to keep him on his Japanese rotation where he was pitching, at least 6 days or more rest. So with all these different elements, they need more starters. And going into the season, that should have been some foresight. And the plan was to use Peterson and to use those guys. They're going to have to bring Peterson back up. As soon as he's available, they have to bring him back up. And he wasn't pitching well enough to stay up, which was a problem. But he's going to have to be in that rotation as well. They're going to have to figure out a way to stretch this thing out. The good part is they scored 6 runs today. The bad part is they gave up 13. Yacobonis, your boy.
He was due.
Yeah, boy. Again, we told you, right? He came in to hold a lead, and what happened? Implosion. Couldn't get an out. He immediately walk, home run, another walk, and it just steamrolled very quickly. By the time I left work and I got 2 minutes down the road, the game was already 10-4. I was like, what just happened? What just happened? I know they went and I saw the pitching coach go out to talk to him. The next thing I know is guys running around the bases again. Tommy Hunter comes in, gives up a home run. Yeah, it was an awful game, that coincided with the beginning of an awful homestand so far. Things have to start to turn around. And I respect that there's no panic. But at the same time, I mean, Met fans have panicked. The only, saving grace right now is they won't lose tomorrow. That's guaranteed.
Yeah, they won't listen as people hear this. Brenton Doyle proved that O'Doyle rules. Indeed, he actually does. And it's the no-names beating the Mets. I mean, this guy, Brenton Doyle, I believe that was his first career homer, right? Like,
yes.
It's just, I mean, they're giving up homers to guys. I mean, it was Haas the other day. It's Doyle. I'm having nightmares to guys who might not even make it on the major league roster all year on these teams, on these last place teams. They lose 2 out of 3 of the lowly Rockies. They got swept to the previously 10-17 Tigers, who now are on a little 5-game win streak. They lost 2 or 3 to the Braves. They lost 2 or 3 to the last place Nationals. And this came, and it all started in that series split with San Fran. They won those first 2. We're all excited. Whoa, what a West Coast trip. They lose the last 2, and since then, it has just been a downward slide. They're 3-11. That's really bad. 3-11 since April 22nd. 2 weeks of pain. How to Lose the Division in 10 Days is the new How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. The hit movie that I'm sure you've seen, a little rom-com special. The Mets, there's no romantic comedy going on right now with the New York Mets. It is a horror movie. And Jimmy Akamonis was due to get rocked, and he did. With how these starters are going, I can't get that mad at Buck for putting him in there, but, I'd rather not see him in a one-run game in the middle of the game. I'd rather see a guy like a Brigham or Leone who finally, gave up a few runs, but everyone gave up runs. Tommy Hunter, like we said last week, looks finished. I mean, continues to struggle, and that's Buck's guy. So, like, at some point, Buck's got to be like, all right, you're my guy, but you gots to go. And, you're not going to just cut Tommy Hunter right now, but a couple more implosions and Tommy Hunter might get a phantom back spasms. I'm an old man IL trip coming soon. These middle relievers are bad, and it all stems from the starters not going deep. I mean, like we keep saying, Friday was, a fascination. Wow. Senga goes 6 innings. Yeah. I mean, God forbid you could get a starter to go 7th and get it to Robertson and Ottavino, and they got lucky. That ball in the, I believe it was 8th inning that goes off the base runner that would have tied the game.
Oh, yeah, at 108 miles an hour, too.
Scorching, yeah. And then the 9th inning, runner at third, 1 out, you're like, oh, God, they're going to blow this. And luckily they don't, but, like, their one win all week was a 1-0 game because the ball went off a base runner. I mean, that's how close it was to them having a winless week. We keep saying schedule's easy right now. It's schedule easy. Well, this week they lost to bad teams, and they got the Reds coming up. And like we just said in the last show, Figgy, you got to win this year. You really got to sweep. You got your head honchos this week. Scherzer Tuesday, Verlander Wednesday, Senga Thursday. Enough 2 out of 3s. Obviously you got to win 1 at least, but you really got to sweep the Reds right now.
Yeah, and I think that's what is expected of the 2 horses, to be there up at the top. They had 1 turn through the rotation so far. This will be the 2nd time through, and they know they're at home, A. B, they are surely needed to give some length and be able to give some quality of length as well. We can't, length isn't just, oh my God, he went 6 innings and gave up 4 or 5 runs. Can't have that, especially when it's early runs, right? We've been seeing that too, is that by the time the team comes up in the 2nd inning, they're down 3 runs. So it's made it tough on everybody.
Either that or they're up, and then Daniel Vogelbach decides to round second because he thought he had a shot at third or whatever.
Oh, no. There was no shot. He rounded second, and he was looking at the third base coach. And while looking at the third base coach and waiting for like this magical sign just for Vogelbach, he realized like he wasn't even thinking about him coming to third. What the hell is he doing rounding?
Why round it? Like, just stay on second, chill, and enjoy your day. That's it. Like, that made no sense to me, Vicky. Then I knew that was going to come back to bite them too. Like, that would have made it 4-1. I remember the inning would have still been going. Alvarez would have came up who had a hit. Like, maybe make it 5. Maybe Alvarez double at 6-1. It is a different game if Vogie doesn't do that. You'd almost rather him just go to third because Beatty would have scored by then. You almost rather him just get thrown out at third there. But to round second, like, get 2 inches off the bag and get tagged out, you almost felt like that was going to come back to bite them. And, it did.
Yeah, he's not on the team because of his base running prowess. It looks good when he's freight train moving, without any breaks, and everybody enjoys watching him go first to third. And he should have just went first to third, But at the same time, he was thinking, let's be cautious with this. And then he was hesitant. You can't be hesitant on the base paths. You have to have a plan, stick to it. If you're overly aggressive, so what? You score that extra run, right? And you get thrown out. And the rule of thumb is never get thrown out at third base. So already in your head, you should be saying, don't go past second base. Hit second base, watch the throw go home, and if there's an overthrow, keep going. So fundamental baseball. You heard Buck talk about it after the game. They asked him, was this a disappointing loss? And he said, all the losses are disappointing. There's no, at least we did this, at least we did that. It was nice to see the offense do a little something after scoring only 4 runs in their last 4 games. To put up a 6 spot was nice to see. Beatty moving up in the lineup. That's another thing, right? We keep talking about, now you got to move Beatty up in the lineup. Let's see how he does. All these different little things that are going to start kind of catching up and creeping up. Marte, we talked about, he looked like he was running on fumes, had the day off, an extra day off for Monday, and then Tuesday. Hopefully he can come back rejuvenated. I jumped on Marte and how he's looked so far this season, and then I took a deeper look into it. And he's hit a lot of balls hard, and there's been more plays made against him than anybody else in baseball. When you're talking about like highlight plays, the guys leaving their feet, dives, the percentage of catchability, that's what they call it. He's number 1 in all of baseball of being robbed of hits. So his season could be very different. We used to talk about that with guys with speed, right? If they can just bunt the ball or get that little infield base hit, it changes from them being a 250 hitter to being a 275, 280 hitter, and makes it a bigger difference because their on base percentage. Those guys get on, those guys score. But that's what you're hoping to have from Marte, and it just hasn't happened as of yet. But keep swinging it, keep trying to, hit those line drives, and eventually some will fall in, and it could help the offense turn around. So besides him, though, McNeil had his 3 hits today. He's still swinging a pretty decent bat. He got a bad call the other night. We talked about that. So a couple breaking balls today or yesterday on Beatty. Well out of the zone in the 9th inning. But I just haven't seen these Mets be able to put it all together and keep it all together for a full 3 games yet.
And listen, Beatty, you got a preview of him in the 5 spot, and I like what I see. Now that's with Marte off, but maybe I don't mind the possible, McNeil 3 or McNeil 2. You had Lindor 2. I like Nimmo, Lindor, McNeil, Alonso, Beatty. Then maybe you have Marte, then Vogelbach. I don't know. I kind of like that, letting Marte slide down until his bat starts to get going here, because McNeil right now is a better hitter. Lindor's stats are mind-blowing because he's driving in all the runs in the world, but he's not getting many hits. Every time he gets a hit, it seems like it's an RBI situation, and he does. And then any other time he doesn't get a hit. I mean, you can't
he's
get
got
220
no
and
singles.
then driving runs. It's
he's got no singles, a ton of extra base hits and big hits, and bases loaded and runners in scoring position. So at least he's doing that, as like he did last year, an RBI machine. He wants to put it together as well, stringing in those singles and, getting on base and scoring some runs for some of the other guys as well. They're up and down. I think this lineup still needs to be better. The depth needs to be better. Alvarez is looking a little less overmatched, the more and more that he plays. You still see some rookie mistakes like that pass ball that got through past him today. Nito throwing the ball down the right field line the other night. Those little things, the fundamental baseball where they played really good defense, and was their saving grace. If you're not scoring a lot of runs and you're not pitching deep into ball games with your starters, your bullpen has to be lights out, which Robertson, Ottavino, and were before, they went on this losing stretch of 3-11. And now that they're starting to score runs, you'd hope it's not in vain, because you score 6 to give up 7.
Listen, this is going to be an interesting week ahead. It's a prove it week for the Mets, and Carlos Carrasco now pushed back as he has a virus. We don't know what virus he has. It's what is that? The Jose Reyes virus that was going around that time. Remember, what was that guy on Twitter? I don't know. I don't know if you remember that. I forget what it's called, but you know what I'm talking about, right? The Reyes virus thing.
Yes, that Jose Reyes was the virus.
Yeah. That was that. Yeah, that was.
You weren't gonna win anything with Jose Reyes. He was the reason why the teams always lost. He put it out there.
Well, his old teammate Bartolo Colon throwing out the first pitch Sunday. I think it was a ball. I didn't see the end. I think it was in the dirt, maybe, Bartolo. So I don't think he'll be back at 49 years old anytime soon. But the Mets need people going 6th or 7th inning. I mean, It's bad for this middle relief. Amazing but true. Jake Brown, Nelson Figueroa, Benny Agbayani is going to join us in just a few minutes. Well, the Mets have been a horror movie, and so is this homemade by robots doll the Mets gave out. I mean, look at the eyes in this thing. I mean, look.
Button eyes. They're called button eyes. You never heard that before?
You had the cartoon logo. Now this will be my replacement here. The Mets are terrible right now. They need to get deeper in a game. My robot.
He's got hair at least.
Homemade by robots box here is Mrs. Met. Arguably one of the worst promotions ever, actually. I mean, you have a thing to scan on here. I'm sure that's like to get tickets or something, but
or it takes all your information.
Yeah, literally. This is like an AI thing or something. It's going to take all my info, and it's going to steal all my information. And yeah, this is it. So this was Saturday. Went with my mom, and unfortunately, I have news to break that is very sad. So we go with my mom. Great day, family, mom, dad, they're two friends, very nice people. We had discovered, and it was kind of funny. My mom telling me this, I thought it was going to be worse when she told me. She was like, Jake, I got to tell you something. Like I was worried about telling you. My mom's like, I was worried about telling you. I actually found a photo from about on my phone like 8-10 years ago that we went to a game together at City Field.
Oh my God.
And both of us completely forgot that, like, because I had hair and no beard. So I think it was like 2013 maybe. And it was a picture of the three of us sitting up in the Pepsi porch at the time. And we completely forgot that I had been to a game with my mom and dad.
You sit on a throne of lies. Jake.
Literally. And I had no idea, like, how much have I partied that I've completely forgot I went to a game at City Field with my mom. So the internet is a lie, and I had lied but had no idea. But her reveal.
How about your mother?
It's literally like the third inning. Well, she kind of forgot too, but she has a good memory. So that's why I thought she would have brought up, or weird. I think maybe she didn't. But she shows me the picture, and she's like, "Jake, I hate to say it." She almost like cried when she revealed the news to me that it was happening. So that happened. And then, the Mets offense is making everyone vomit on Saturday and Sunday. My mom ended up getting food poisoning at the game. We had to leave the game early. God. I mean, what a colossal disaster. We leave the game early, and she gets sick, and she's like almost crying, and we left like top of the night. She was throwing up in the bathroom. I don't know if she got it from brunch or what, but yeah, throwing up in the Citi Field bathroom. So I can't say her first time was ruined because she's been there before now. So her internet first time was ruined. Her second time, real life time, was ruined. And the Mets are making people vomit. My mom got sick. She's doing okay now, and she flew back. But it was nice to be there with the parents, even if it was the second time with her. And just a lifeless game, lifeless weekend. Mets need to win this week. All right. Well, they got Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. They're off Monday, but we are not off on Amazin But True. Coming up next on the program, it's a fan favorite, Benny Agbayani on Amazin But True. Welcome back to the show. We're glad to welcome on for the first time, season 4 of the program, a guy that Mets fans love and probably got the biggest ovation at Old Timers Day last year. At Citi Field. He played 4 seasons with the Mets from 98 through 2001. Most importantly, a key member of the 2000 Mets that won the National League pennant. Let's give a warm, Amazin But True welcome to Benny and the Mets. It's Benny Agbayani. Benny, welcome to the show. How you doing, man?
Good. I'm doing very, very good. Very good. Aloha, everyone.
Aloha. Yes.
Aloha, brother.
Is it 6 hours behind there in Hawaii right now?
Yes, we are 6 hours behind.
Well, so what's up with you? Where's Benny Agbayani? What are you doing? What are you doing with your life right now? Give us an update on what's going on with you.
I was coaching softball at Iolani School, varsity, and now I'm just training my son. He's a sophomore at Iolani, and I got to spend a lot of time with him now, because I gave my 2 other daughters a lot of my time. So I guess it's his time now, and I'm at Hawaiian Airlines.
Hawaiian Airlines, that's the only way to fly, brother. Yeah, one of the great things that I love about stories like ours, where you had a chance to play not only at the major league level, but you took your talents overseas, right? You went out to Japan, and you went out there with Japan with the great Bobby V. What was that experience like?
Oh, that was a great experience. I mean, every time I talk to people and they always talk about, they're going to Japan, I said, if you guys go to Japan, try and catch a baseball game because it's an exciting, atmosphere, and it's something new that you don't see in the States. And, like you'll see a lot of different things out there, especially with the fans being.
Yeah, they're you're talking about it's at least 3 hours of singing, cheering, a band playing, drums. They're into it every step of the way. And the best thing they like is like a 1-0 game. Oh, hard fought game. It was great. Nobody got embarrassed.
Yeah, yeah, it's more the Central League is more with the clappers, as you guys see, and then the Pacific League where we played at the Chibolote, it was more like the soccer. They had the flags, the banners, and they were waving that, and the clapping of the hands. So it was pretty interesting watching the Central and Pacific leagues, out there.
You won a championship out there, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Oh, that's awesome. I loved it. I'll tell you what, there's nothing better than that foreign experience of bringing home a championship. And once you go back there, you can walk on water. You can do anything you want. They love you after you come back.
Yeah, it's almost like that.
What did you want to come back to the big leagues? Because your final year, you had a good year. You hit 297, limited at bats, but I mean, you were far from, done. 297 with the Red Sox, I should say. But did you want to come back, or was your goal to go overseas and, play with Bobby?
Yeah, I wanted to come back, but, I just went with, my opportunities, where it was going to best fit my family. And, I just wanted to, start fresh again and, see how it was in Japan, then probably come back to the States. But, I spent 6 years there. So, I kind of loved it out there.
What was it like New York versus elsewhere? Like the fans, I mean, it's incredible. Like there's greats like Doc and Daryl and all these legends, but you were the guy that probably got the biggest ovation. And, that's got to be special for you because I imagine Boston, Colorado, after that did not match the energy and like experience of being a New York Met and the love that you got from the fans.
Yeah, I appreciate the fans. It was one of those things. You just got to be honest. You just got to play hard, and you're gonna hear the boos. You got to live with it. You got to roll with the punches, and I just so grateful that the applause I got. Coming back from the old timers game, it meant a lot to me, and it meant a lot to my kids also because they weren't born when I was playing, and they're just amazed how the fans reacted, but. That's the New York fans. They're going to love you all the way. You show them love, they're going to give you love.
Do you miss New York at all?
I always miss New York. I had the best time of my life over there. And I wish I didn't get traded.
Yeah.
I hear you. You see, you say that now, but talk to us in the wintertime when you're out there in Hawaii.
That's why I live in Hawaii.
I hear you, brother. What's your favorite Met memory?
My favorite Met memory is probably hitting the Grand Slam in Tokyo, Japan. I mean, that's, that was the kicker to my season. And, I was on the borderline of making the team. And, if I didn't make the team, at least I went out with a bang with that, Grand Slam to help our ball club win. But, that was one of my biggest memories.
Could you feel from that moment, like that sparked what was a special season we were talking about earlier? I'm 32, so I was 9. That was like my first full year as a fan, following from day one. And I was like, wow, life's going to be great as a Mets fan. Little did I know they would, be bad for the majority of my life. But that year was special for me as a 9-year-old watching you guys. I'll always remember Game 3, your walk-off. I was literally watching on a portable TV or listening to my Walkman during the award show of my brother's marching band competition. And I was like, Benny Hallmark. It was like, I don't remember what I had for lunch today, but I remember that moment. And like, you remember those special things. So that's why you were a big part of my childhood. But like, did that Grand Slam in Tokyo, did that like start of the feel of like what was going to be a special season? Cause I always talk about that was a ragtag bunch, Benny. And I don't think on paper you look at that team, be like, oh, this team's going all the way, but they did to the World Series. Obviously we lost to the stupid Yankees, but did it have the feel of that kind of special year early on?
Yeah, I did. We had a lot of veteran guys and we had some young guys, and I think, it was kind of balanced where we had, a lot of experienced players. And I think that really helped us, having all those guys, the experienced players, like Piazza, John Franco, Al Leiter, Robert Ventura, Todd Zio, all those guys. It was great to have them in the clubhouse, and, it's just that we had a good manager, Bobby Valentine, that, he put everything together and made us realize, hey, we can win this.
Now, talking about Bobby Valentine, I always tell people one of my thrills, of course, is, I got called up and then I went down, I got called up again. So I was able to do that 11 times and every time it felt special. But you always hope that there was one manager or at least one front office that, they felt like they had your back. I think Bobby was that guy for you, so much so that you followed him over to Japan.
Yeah, he was, and that's, how my career went. I just needed an opportunity to, prove myself. I was a 30th round pick. I was, in the organization for like 6 years. And, it's just that, you're right, Figs. You got to have that right, that right person that just going to give you that, that ticket or that cup of coffee and to prove yourself. And, when you get there, it's, it's all up to you and what you make of it.
Who's your favorite? All that stuff. Well, I'm sorry. All that stuff goes, out the window. Nobody cares what round you got drafted in when all of a sudden, hey, you know what? This guy can actually play. And Bobby, having that confidence, put him out there, let him fail. You have to fail at the major league level to find success. But if you fail only once or twice and they're like, we'll get somebody else. That used to be it for me, right? It was like, all right, I just had 2 bad starts in a row. I'm going back down, and then I got to keep being as good as I can be to get that call back. I used to think about that all the time. Is like, all you're hoping for is just let me prove that I belong, because once you turn, 13 years old and it's 60 feet, 6 inches and 90-foot bases, nothing, it never changes again, right? Just that third deck that gets added at the major league level that puts that pressure on you. But I loved watching you play, man. You played with a passion. You played with that give me a chance, that underdog mentality. And I didn't grow up. I was watching very closely because you kind of set that tone that, he got the opportunity, give me mine and I'll show you what I can do.
Yeah, true that. I mean, that's all everyone needs is that opportunity, especially for us that was, in the lower draft picks. But, it's just one of those things where you just got to grind it out and, just see how your cards play out. And, as a person, you're going to know when it's your time to hang it up. But, if you have that fight, the desire, to do it, then, you gotta keep plugging away.
Who was your favorite Mets teammate and who was your funniest Mets teammate?
My favorite teammate was Jay Payton. He got drafted after me, but we hung out a lot, and it's just we were the young guys, we were the underdogs that are playing, and we just wanted to do good, and we wanted to win. We was hungry to win, and funniest guy got to be Derek Bell. Derek Bell is funny. Yeah, he was funny. He was a weird, funny guy. Every day he had something to say, especially playing in the outfield with him, and we had Ricky Henderson out there. Oh my gosh. It was one of those things where you just laughed every day you went out there. You had fun.
So my Bell story, Jeff Tam. Remember the home run that Jeff Tam gave up against him, and I think he was at Houston at the time when he hit it to it was almost a walk off, right? Or there might have been the top of the game. He hits it off Tam, and he stands at home plate, and he goes, "Oh my God!" And they zoomed in on his face as he said that, and he ran around the bases slow and everything. And so remember how Tam was, right? Jeff Tam was a hothead, he's a Southerner. And the next year, the Mets wind up getting Bell, and they're in spring training together. So you have live BP. And in live BP, you tell the guy what's coming, and he knows what's coming. You got an L screen in front of you. Tam wanted no L screen, and he didn't want to tell him what was coming. And he drills him. He drilled him in live BP. And I remember I was like, oh my God, we're going to have a brawl. We're going to have a brawl right here because Bell's going to get, but good thing that Bell kind of didn't even remember it for some reason, but Tam never forgot the way that he took him deep and he let out that, oh my God.
That's Jeff Tam for you.
Right?
Biggie, do you remember facing Benny at all? I see one stat where he was 1 for 2 off of you. And I think a sacrifice fly. Do you remember facing him? That was when he was on the Mets, but do you remember facing him otherwise?
No, that was the only time I got to face him. And one of the things that you always do, and when you get to guys that are grinders like you, those were the guys that used to give me the most trouble. The superstars were always dialed in to hitting, in 95 plus. I was like, here I am. I'm going to maybe show him a little breaking ball, show him a little wrinkle first pitch, and he's right on it. Whack. we used to talk about it because Franco used to come down to the minor leagues. And, they were like, hey, just get a couple of innings in during spring training against the minor league guys. And he's like, no, I don't want to do that. He goes, those guys don't have an approach. They don't have a setup. He goes, you can't work on anything. He goes, they're swinging at pitch 1 through 3 as hard as they can, just trying to embarrass the major league guys. So that was one of the things that I always, tried to really focus on, is not let guys get on base, so that if I gave up a shot or gave up a solo shot, it didn't, wasn't compounded by, damn it, I gave up a shot to a guy who, Mike Piazza didn't hit a home run off me. But if I got down in the order and I'm like, you know what? I left that pitch up, not concentrating nearly enough, thinking, oh, I'll just a little fly ball to right, and then wind up backing up second or third base and giving up an RBI. But Benny was one of those guys that, listen, runners on base, that opposite field gap, he's going to hit you that line drive, because he knew how to play the game. And that, he's not swinging for the fences trying to impress anybody. So who was the guy that you faced major league that you tell people about now, like when you have to talk about facing major league pitchers?
Probably Greg Maddux. I talk about him a lot because he was one of those pitchers. I mean, he could spot the pitch like right there, and then all of a sudden he's throwing you that pitch that comes back in on the outside corner, and they're calling it a strike. And you're like, well, no, it's not a strike. It's way out there. And then you look on the video, you're like, oh my gosh, this guy is like, he got every pitch in the book out there.
Oh yeah, no, he was. It was incredible the way that his ball moved and his pinpoint accuracy. Like if he missed by a little bit, and you're like, yeah, he can't do that again. Oh yeah, watch, he's gonna do it 2 more times. Exactly. So I'm looking up some of your numbers, and you look at Greg Maddux. Yeah, 182 against Greg Maddux. Hey, at least you had a 1 in there. It matters. But Randy Johnson, well, talk about the difference in those two guys. Perennial Cy Young candidates.
Randy Johnson, yeah, I like facing him. I think I got good stats against him. He threw hard, and that's, you go up there, you're looking for everything hard. He was trying to just get that ball right by you. So you just got, I always tell myself, just be on time and let that ball be over the plate.
Double and triple off Randy, yeah.
Yeah, so I got kind of lucky there. So that was good.
333 off Glavine lifetime. Yeah, brother. I mean, these are the types of things when I tell people, oh, Roy Halladay, excuse me, 500 off Roy Halladay. Sorry. I like that, right?
Bless that guy, man. You know why? Because we grew up in the organization. He was in Toronto and I was with the Mets. So we came up the ladder together. So I faced him a lot. And when he got to the big league, I mean, I just looked at him. You already knew, that he was going to be a superstar.
Yeah, no, it was one of those guys that he's the last of a dying breed. We were just talking about how the Mets starters can't give him 5 innings now, where this guy was like, yeah, I'm going 9 every time I go out, and never back down from a challenge like that.
Yeah, he was.
When you left the Mets and when they traded you, that made a lot of Mets fans sad. What was like the difference? Colorado, you go to, it's got to be a totally different world, less things to do. I don't know, in 2002, 2001, if people were still getting stoned all the time in Colorado. I don't know if weed was as apparent then as now, but was it just a different life? Like, was it harder to enjoy the game as much as your teammates with the Mets and all the things to do in New York City?
Yeah, it was kind of hard because I grew up in the organization. I was in the organization since 1993. And, I wanted to be a Met. I wanted to play in New York. I got my chance. And, I wanted to finish my career, being a Met. But, unfortunately, it didn't happen. And when you go to another organization, you kind of think about it a lot because, you didn't grow up in that organization. And, I just had to, just tell myself it was a, business thing. I got to move on. And, I try to, make the best of it, and one thing, I was in the big league still yet. So, that made it, pretty much, better for me. But, I missed, New York, and, I was pretty devastated.
Do you get recognized in Hawaii? Like, are there Mets fans out there who recognize you out there?
Yeah, some of my classmates are Mets fans, and, there's a lot of Giants fans here. So they always remember that home run I hit against the Giants. And they keep on reminding me of that. And I said, well, hey, we made it there.
Yeah, exactly. And how cool was the 2000 World Series? We talked with a lot of, your teammates from that team. How special was that? And, just taking the bus from the Bronx to Queens and just the fans and the, the streets going crazy. How cool was that experience for you?
Oh, that was cool. I mean, it was amazing how you seen the Mets fans and the Yankee fans, they all came together. it's one of those that it was a lifetime dream to have both New York teams in the World Series. And it must have been a fight in the household, but to sit down and cheer for your team, it must have been amazing to see two New York teams battling it out.
Did you get the love in Japan like you did in New York? Like, did the fans love you there like they did here? Because I know that it gets crazy there and the games get insane too. And Figgy's pitched overseas too and won there, so I know it's a wild atmosphere.
Yeah, it was pretty wild because we got there and we won. And everybody, our team wasn't one of those. I played for the Chiba Lotte Marines, and we were a team to reckon with. And when Bobby got over for his second run there, he brought over some guys, and we ended up winning. And it was like expected for us to be on the top now, and the fans loved it. And it was a big party out there.
The Met fans right now are going through it because this team is 3-11 in their last 14 games and not scoring enough runs and not pitching deep in the ball games. When you get to go, like you saw the other side of it, right? You guys found a way and you figured it out along the way and wind up going all the way to the World Series. What advice can you give Met fans right now who are going through this?
Well, the Mets fans, they're all, there's a lot of expectations, but, I think, deep down in them, they're just waiting, for that run. And, hopefully, the boys come out and, they make that big run and, they start that streak and, just start playing consistent baseball. I mean, it's the high expectations where it's about winning ball games, but, they got to know that, those guys are trying their best and they're going to grind it out every day out there.
Do you still follow the Mets? Do you keep up with this team?
Yeah, I do. My classmate always texts me, "Hey, we're losing, right?" I go, "Yeah, I know. I saw it."
Well, Benny, it's been fun to catch up with you. We missed those glory days, and that was Figgy's start of his big league career. But on the inside, he was rooting for the Mets down low, even when he would face them. So it was good to catch up with you, and good luck, man. Thanks for coming on the show.
All right, thank you so much. Aloha, everyone. Stay safe. God bless.
All right, Figgy, great stuff there from Benny Agbayani. I love that he's working at like an airline. Like, you have a lot of former big leaguers that are chilling, but he's still working. The guy's still grinding. 51 years old, still looks young. Maybe he could still play. Mets need a DH. Mets got a thick DH. Why not replace him with another thick DH? And Benny, from Vogie to Benny, the Mets Chronicles. And yeah, like I said, I love those teams, and that that homer in the playoffs is one that it's one of those where you remember where you were moments. And I was literally under a bleachers at a high school football stadium watching the awards of a marching band show, and you hear me screaming as like Trumbull High School finishes in second place. The Mets won the game. That's good night's episode 143 of Amazin But True, our Mets podcast from the New York Post.
Oh, thanks, of course, to you, Jake Brown, and to Andrew Hartz for producing the show. Give us a like, follow at Figgy NY, at Jake Brown Radio, and at Amazin But True. Make sure you check out our YouTube channel where you'll see the video and see Benny Agbayani at work, taking a break, talking to us on the New York Post sports page, and then check out our playlist, Amazin But True. Also, what's the next giveaway? Because you're pooping on giveaways. It's not cool.
They have not had good ones yet. They're saving them. The weather's heating up, so I think they're going to get better. They had the last weekend was supposed to be, I think, the Mr. Met version of this, and it got rained out. Thankfully, they had to delay that giveaway. But yeah, it's been light. They're saving the jerseys are later on. The next one is the Francisco Lindor. The grass growing bobblehead is cool. That's the Saturday against the Guardians. That's the next home stand. So Reds, Nationals 4, and then they're back home for Rays for 3, and then the Guardians for 3 coming up. The Mets, you got to beat the damn Reds and turn this around, because I do not want this whole season being an underachieving, because the window's short, and this was the year that you got to at least make the playoffs.
It's early.
We're just asking for 500. I know it's early. I'm not one of the people saying the season's over, but this has been frustrating, and I cannot believe they played like this. But again, weather heating up, starters back. We get the Verlander Scherzer show this week, and Max pitch better. All right, we'll be back I'll be back on Thursday after the afternoon game against the Reds. Figure you'll be back next Monday night after the 4th game of that national series and your first show on Pix 11.
Yes,
7 p.m. Eastern, Pix 11. Nelson Figueroa, Mark Malusis. Tune in next Monday, the 15th. All right. Well, I guess we got to rally the troops. So we'll try to close it as we always do with a 3 and a 2 and a 1. Let's go
Mets.
God, they suck.